Okay.
You want to call roll?
Sure, of course. Al Anderson,
Here.
Todd Conklin,
Here.
John Crow is absent. John Sky is absent. Brian Hope.
Here.
Joe Ward, the code official, is here. Ken Budge is
Here.
the council liaison. And Joe Estes, city attorney, is here as well.
Call to the applicant. It says call of the application,
Yeah.
but he is not here, I guess, huh?
Correct.
So we can move on. Summarization of the issues and relevant data by city staff. So I suppose that's you, Joe. You want to bring us up to date, what's going on and why we're here?
Mr. Staley started out a lot better than he's been doing of late. He's really a journeyman plumber. He got in there and he's replaced all of his plumbing drains and water supply lines. And he got that all accomplished fairly quickly. I was very happy with what he did. Then he started, and then he come upon this, he sent a notice to the city that we were violating his Fourth Amendment rights, I think it is, and that we are forcing him to open his house every month to somebody coming in, and that wasn't right, so could he send pictures? I checked with the city manager, and he said, yeah, that'll be okay. So that's what we started doing. And then he started doing less, and he put a little bit of watertight drywall behind the shower, and then he set the shower base another month. And I mean, these are things that, you know, you guys all have experience in these things. You know, it's a matter of hours, not days. And last month you got the pictures that he sent of scraping the fascia board. So
Aesthetics, not structural. Yeah, that's what we warned him, is that we don't care, you know, about the pain or anything, let's get with the life safety things and get those knocked out of the way. You created a list, a punch list basically, of things that were, you wanted to see rectified that were non-code compliant and dangerous life safety issues. Of that total number, what percentage has been accomplished?
I wish I would have looked at the list before.
Roughly.
But I'd say 20% at the most.
20%?
Yeah,
And it's been 10 months?
yeah.
Okay.
And well, he had, the house was in disrepair, and it was missing a lot of the fundamentals that are needed to be occupiable, to be considered a dwelling under the code. He did have working toilet, and he did have, you know, I mean, there was amenities that he had that had been asserted that he didn't different times, and he did have those, but
So
it was not habitable.
he has water service to the building, electric
He
to
had
the
water.
building,
The
sewer and water.
the electrical when it started was off.
Yeah, okay. I got right there.
So the point is that it's diminished to where he's doing almost nothing. The city manager had asked me at one point to look into whether or not he's staying there. And I believe I had brought up to him that I thought that he was. So I got, on a Friday, I set an alarm and got up at midnight, went by the house, there's a light on, and his truck was there. Then went by at 5 o'clock that next morning, and it was the same situation. And I did the same thing on the following night, and it indicated to me that he wasn't living there. And I brought this to his attention in an email, and he answered that he's been leaving his car there to fool people and sneaking out the back.
Clever, okay.
Beware. I strongly suspect that he's.
Well, when you have tools, and you know, you're doing so much construction work, you have tools laying around, you probably want to make people think that you're in there, so your tools are better protected.
We get a list of water use that the city subscribes to. That Arizona Water provides it to us for a fee. My house, we use about 2,800 gallons on an average between just me and my wife living there.
Yeah.
Whereas Mr. Staley's been using, last month he used 3,100 gallons to use as a reference.
Okay.
Does the house meet bare minimum standards of habitation?
It does not.
It does not.
No.
Yeah, it's got too many non-compliant things to, you know, if it was just like he needs GFIs on the kitchen sink, that would be one thing, but I think there's stuff everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's all well and good, but
Walking past my nose tells me that he's keeping a lot of cats in there again. There's stairs that are across the street from his house. I came down those stairs the other day, not for the purpose of this, but I had parked over here and went up, did an inspection, and came down a different way. He was like, "Oh, right here at Staley's house. This might be uncomfortable." But as soon as I stepped off the stairs onto the street, I could smell the cat real strong.
Yeah, I've heard from neighbors that they think there's as many cats, maybe even more than there was originally, and they both said that it appears that, well, they're sure that he's living there. So if you go around and knock on some doors, you'll probably...
I can smell it. I went up there just the other day and the stench was pretty bad, shall we say. I'm being generous in that statement. This came before here 10 months ago, and I've done some pretty horrible properties in that time. It doesn't take 10 months to get that level of stench out of your property. Neighbors around there are reporting that the cat problem has increased, so
Well, that having cat feces and other vermin all around your yard, that is definitely a violation of the International Property Maintenance Code. That's exterior and
Right, the feces, inside or out,
yeah,
is a violation, the cats are not.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
If I recollect, this is the same one that was raided, right? Wasn't there,
Yeah.
the police went in and they found that it was uninhabitable at that point.
No, it's a,
I think it may be time to obtain another warrant.
it was, the charge was cruelty to animals.
Cruelty to animals, there. I just remember something about that. Yeah,
That hasn't gone to court yet.
But that's outside of what,
Yeah, that's outside of purview.
yeah, sorry about that.
So it's the stench, the filth on the outside, and then the life safety issues on the inside. So that on us, you know, we did not give a time limit 10 months ago to,
actually we did give them 6 months.
yeah, we did a 6 month, but we
I
said you
felt
could go
that
back to
was
the well if you needed more.
Overly generous to be exact.
Well, I agree too.
But, you know, we did give him 6 months, you know, it's 10 months now, we're pushing a year. It's not that difficult to bring a property up to bare minimum standards. You don't need a whole team of engineers to figure out how to do it. You don't need an architect and a decorator to make it pretty. The code books are very clear. And if he can't read a code book, he's more than willing to call Mr. Ward. I call Mr. Ward regularly when there's questions about the code. He's happy to talk to people.
Well, we gave Mr. Staley the benefit of the doubt. He seemed to be disappointed that he was not able to live in the structure, and he seemed motivated to want to move back in, get the things accomplished. So you know, in my opinion, he's made a mockery of our decision, our directive. So I think that the only thing that we could do at this point is set a deadline without extension. I think we have the authority to do that at this point.
Yes, you can set a deadline, or you can uphold the current order that's in place.
What part of it do we need to uphold? I mean, he's violated it. He hasn't let the inspector come in. He is not doing as much work as he should be doing. He's got the cat issue aside. I mean, the stench and all that is under our purview. So he seems to have not done anything about the cats.
Well, essentially, it would be upholding the red tag notice. He's not allowed into the property.
Correct. Not allowed to live there. He's step on it?
Sorry about that.
So, and then the next step would be, under 9-499, the city can seek an abatement order to go in and abate the nuisance
And put a lien on the property?
for the cost of whatever that abatement.
And I don't think that, I wouldn't want anybody to put a lien on any of my properties, but for this particular situation, I don't think it would really matter to him. I mean, it would only be if he ever wanted to sell, and he could continue doing exactly what he's doing now, which is not much, and still have a lien on his property, so, you know.
Well, if he doesn't pay the lien, then the city can foreclose on him, depending on based off of the amount of, whatever that amount will be. If it's under $1,000, it has to be paid off within a year. If it's under $5,000, it has to be paid off within, I want to say it's 3 or 4 years, all the way up to anything over $10,000, it's 5 or 7 years. But if he's not paying
Yeah.
on the lien, then the city can then foreclose on that.
So you're saying we have at least two options. One is set a deadline, and moving forward, if he doesn't meet the deadline, then Joe can foreclose,
Move
declare
forward
the,
with abatement actions.
yeah. Or start that process right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you want to, it's up to the board, if you want to give them another month or whatever time period you feel is appropriate. But I think one of the main issues is that he has to allow Mr. Ward to be able to go in and do the actual inspections. Photographs are not sufficient.
And he hasn't allowed that. He's broken this trust. I don't see any reason that he would start behaving responsibly based upon previous action. We were overly lenient last time. I see no justification for leniency at all.
I agree.
I tend to agree as well.
I feel that 10 months is a long time to not really have that much done. What do you guys want to do?
Well, I think we need to make a motion and second it and have a discussion on what the city attorney says that we're have the authority to do is
legal purview.
Start that process. I don't know, what is that process called again, sir?
It's an abatement process to be able to go and abate the nuisance that exists.
So essentially, the city would be putting up, doing the initial cleanup, and then he'd be getting charged for that, and then we put a lien against his property for moving forward? Okay.
Well, that's an abatement of the nuisance part of it. That doesn't, the city doesn't go in and bring it up to code. It just
No.
abates the nuisance, the issues that are creating the nuisance with the garbage, the trash, the feces, things like that.
So correct me if
I'm
I'm
in
wrong.
full agreement with this too. I guess just whoever can make the motion.
I'm still
Correctly.
thinking that through in my mind, but we have two issues now. We have the nuisance issue, and then we have, the unsafe building, the structural part of this, and the life safety, not just a nuisance to the adjoining property owners, but a nuisance to Mr. Staley himself, and jeopardizing his own life and whatever liability we have that allowing him to go in there and live. Yes, sir.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a board that he appealed to from the original violation. So to me, your choice is you make some other accommodation for that violation, or you just make a motion that we proceed and deny any appeal to that, and then it goes back to the original violation, and the city takes care of it from there.
Yeah, you essentially would, your motion would be either to uphold the violation, to amend the violation, or to dismiss the violation.
Or we're not going to dismiss, and so I would say we need a motion to option one.
How do we work this?
There you go.
How do we work this?
How would you write it? Joe? Where's the sign?
A motion to move to uphold the building inspector's violation with
The
regard to
original
505,
violation.
the original violation.
That would effectively withdraw what they had, what was offered to them
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that nullifies our last recommendation that we
We're
give
putting
them
in a
6
situation
months.
where you have to within like 30 days bring the place up down.
You wanna make that motion?
Yeah, let's see if I get this right. I move to uphold
The original,
the original findings and Mr. Ward's authority to inspect the property, bring this property up to basic habitation standards in 30 days,
just to uphold the order,
to uphold the order.
the original. So you're making a motion that we just uphold the original order.
I second that motion.
All those in favor, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Motion carries, you close it. Move that we adjourn.
Do you have a second to the motion?
I second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.